Okay, we are starting. It says it's starting. It says I'm live, and Gary's checking. You're now live. All right. So, hello there out there. I'm looking for me. I'm looking for Oh, okay, there I am. So, pretty soon I know one of you will let me know that you are here and that you can see and hear me. Please let it not be one of those days. Okay. So, for those of you who are joining, we're going to have a big announcement. Good morning. Oh, isn't that crazy? Okay. Oh, that's the way it works. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. So, Angela and Margit, you two win. And so make sure you let me know for what you would like me to do. Spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, and I will do that for you. The early person gets the treat. So there we go. Okay, so you can see and you can hear me, and we're ready to go. All right, it's time for a spiritual mind treatment. Okay. So this word is being spoken for each one, and if there's anyone or any place on the planet that you would like included, just think of their name or that place now and know that this word includes them. Okay. Recognizing by the very fact of this universe's existence, there is an infinite intelligence at work. This infinite intelligence knows how to be a universe with its infinite objects within it that are continuously changing and morphing and moving. And with all of this infinite intelligence or this infinite mind knows how to direct everything so that the universe is always in harmony, in order, and in balance. That it provides within itself everything necessary for life to thrive, to flourish, to be. And so this infinite intelligence in creating this entire universe had in its mind the idea of a human expression that it is now creating. And each one is this expression of the divine that is a part of its whole grand design, its whole plan. Each one belongs, each one is included, and each one is provided for. The divine did not create anything that it did not have within itself, within this universe, all that is required for this creation to thrive and to prosper and to be all that it is. And so that is true of plants, of animals, of the white squirrel. It is true of each one. And so each one is now more aware and accepting of an awareness that this some intelligent something has fully provided for his or her or its expression. And so each one now is expanded in awareness of observing and seeing the support, the supply, the resources that are required, with the very air that is necessary, with the materials that need for food and nourishment, with the wonderful divine need within each one to connect and to express with others. All that is a part of a living, breathing expression of the divine in human form is provided. And so any belief in anyone that somehow something that is necessary for the expression of life is not being provided by God is erased, evaporated, and vanished. All belief that human-made things are not part of the divine plan in creating the universe is erased and vanished. Any belief that a human could create something that is not a part of the universe is erased, evaporated, and vanished. The truth is, all that is in this universe is all each one has. And humanity, in using the gifts of the universe, are creating something that is still a part of this universe. And so somehow that divine is providing for humanity to create things that support, that bless, that allow each one to live this life more easily, more joyously, more fun. The very food that is combined in a way to bring nourishment but also deliciousness is divinely created food. And so any belief that business, commerce, money, technology, machines, computers, internets, governments, buildings, or anything else that is humanly made is somehow not divinely included in all that is, in that divine presence, is erased, evaporated, and vanished. There is only one life, and everything in this universe is this life expressing. That includes every single human-made thing, idea, because every idea that was used to create something, the ideas all come from this infinite intelligence. There is not an idea of creation that has not come from this infinite mind. And so, because each one is able to recognize that the air and the earth and the plants and the other people are all divinely created so that one may flourish and prosper, each one is now also accepting the spiritual truth that the money, the resources, the job opportunities, the business, the internet connections, the wonderful television and program sorts of things, podcasts, all of it is first created by the infinite mind as an idea given to human to take and to express and to co-create with the God-given resources here in this universe. And so everything is supplied by the divine. All that is required to be a happy, healthy, thriving, loving, joyful, fun, happy, peaceful, harmonious creation as human is all provided by God. Any belief that one needs to get something from some other creation and that God is not involved is vanished and gone. All of it. The paycheck, the refund, the air, the food, the benefit, the reimbursement, everything, the right connection, the perfect operation of the dishwasher and the car, all is supplied by that one mind, the divine first cause of all. That is back of everything. It is the foundation of everything, and it is the substance from which all stands upon. And so because this is the truth, each one is now more accepting that God is the source of their supply, of all that is given. All. Nothing outside of it, nothing is missing. And therefore any belief in lack, any belief in competition that God's gifts can be taken away from one is erased and evaporated. The infinite bounty of the divine abundance, the divine affirmative, the divine creator is giving all that it is to each one. And that includes everything. And so each one, as a result, is discovering more supply, more support, more money, more finances, more guidance, more perfect workings, even within the banking system and the government system and any other system that anyone has to deal with, because it is all first caused by that one first cause of all. And in that one all is well. Everything is perfect, whole, and complete. There is an infinite intelligence that always creates a perfect way, a successful way for expressing itself. This is the truth. And this is accepted now in a greater way than ever before, and each one is therefore demonstrating greater supply of good in more avenues, more ways, more things than ever before. I am grateful this is truth, and so I release this knowing of truth into that loving law, realizing that it makes it so into each one's experience. And so it is done, and we agree by saying together, and so it is. And that's the way it is. And so let's have some Reverend Rich.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world that's full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment where I hear all that never has been said. And right here in this holy silence I find love, I find myself. I find God, I find myself. I am opening my heart to receive. I am opening my heart is ready to receive. I am opening my heart is ready to receive.
And so let's take this moment now and decide for what we are going to receive. No, that doesn't work. Decide what to receive. So just trust your heart's yearnings, realize that they came from the divine. It is the foreshadowing of what the divine wants to create for each one of us. And so just let that be present. Don't say no to it. Just keep it on the table of your heart. And let's allow for the very good probability that that which is desired is fulfilled through the activity of knowing the truth through this meeting, this gathering, this day. And so it is.
I am opening My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Good morning. That happened last time too. Now I am centered. I said that last time too. Is this Groundhog Day? Good morning. And welcome to the Centers for Spiritual Living, Princeton. We are a loving, healing, inclusive community that teaches and practices the principles of the science of mind for the spiritual growth and well-being of ourselves and the world. And I'm a little bit hoarse today because I went to my class reunion last night. More about that. But first, a couple of announcements. On the 21st of November, we have our second annual Thanksgiving Gratitude Tailgating Fest. How do you like that? A fest. And it's going to be outdoors in the parking lot, and rumor has it that fire may be involved. It's the light. So do bring your sticks for marshmallows. And if you would like to donate or volunteer food for the event, it's all in the hands of God and in the hands of us. Everything we eat will be with hands, no forks. So sandwiches, cookies, and a piece of fruit is sort of the menu. So anything that you could do would be awesome, well appreciated, with gratitude. Speaking of gratitude, this month our evening inspiration is all about the practice of gratitude. And the practice of gratitude is incredible. Of course, it's all about opening the heart, receiving, giving, receiving in that flow of divine good. So speaking of gratitude, I went to my class reunion, the 50th, and it was my first. Of course, I didn't recognize anybody. By the grace of God, they had name tags on with their pictures. But why is this important? Well, this is important because of Reverend Karen's amazing treatment this morning and the thrust of it. I'm going to tell you a little story about the class reunion. Nobody knew, everybody. People flew in. And I remember those years of high school when hormones were raging, people weren't nice. There were the mean girls, there were the snobby girls, there were the cliques. I guess that was all part of learning, right? Well, I have to share with you, 80 people. The conversations were diverse, and the people had diverse opinions about everything. And everybody was grateful to be there. We sat in a moment of silence for the 40 people from our class of 400 who had already passed. And I think that because everybody was talking about becoming 70, or we've already turned 70, they were just grateful to be alive. And there was such love in the room because that grateful feeling that everybody expressed, I'm so grateful that I could be here. I'm so grateful that I lasted 50 years to come to another one, because some people have gone to every reunion. And love was so present that no matter what the topic, I hate Bernie Sanders, but so what? You love Donald Trump, so what? It all doesn't matter because we're all here, we love each other, we're all one. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, this could be one of our, sermons. And at the end, organically, everybody just got on the dance floor, held hands in a circle, and swayed to the music and looked in each other's eyes, and everybody was going, I love you, I love you. And I have to say, I was so touched. I couldn't sleep. I slept about 2 hours last night. Of course, that was probably Spirit's way of making me get up and reading. And it just brought to mind your whole treatment was about oneness. And that nothing mattered except we were all there in unity. So then I got really curious, and I just wanted to read what Ernest Holmes had to say about unity. And here's what he says. Oneness one life of which we are a part, one intelligence which we use, just as Karen said, to create all. One substance. It's like you just read my mind. One substance which is brought into manifold manifestation. One principle as Jesus taught, that they may all be one, even as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, and they also in us. So I just invite you to hold that idea of unity. And in our evening inspiration, we do world work as part of it, because that is what it's all about. Seeing through the beliefs that each people have, seeing through whatever, and seeing each other as one. One with God, one with each other. So thank you for being here. I hope to see you Wednesday night and on the 21st.
We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. Spirit divine, come to me, feel in love, heal in me, open my heart, allow me to see beauty and love, they live in me. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. Spirit divine, come unto me, feel in love, heal in me, open my heart, allow me to see beauty and love, live in me. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. I am whole. You are whole. We are whole.
There you go. We have to get centered. Good morning. My name is Mary VerCande, and I'm a licensed practitioner. And this month we're talking about abundance. And I was reading, and this one sentence stood out to me in the Science of Mind. And maybe it stood out because it's typed in all capital letters. It says, we are to be fed, clothed, and supplied in every need, straight from the center and source of all. Now, I don't know about you, but I can look around and see the limits of what I have. But it's very difficult for me to look around, to visualize where my supply comes from. So I want to lead you in a meditation this morning that will help us visualize our supply. And then I'll close with a spiritual mind treatment. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair, wherever you're at. And if you are comfortable, close your eyes. Take a couple slow, deep breaths. And just feel your body relax. Maybe yawn once or twice. And just let your body relax. And now bring to mind something that brings you pleasure or joy, or someone. Feel the change in your face as your body relaxes. Now see yourself standing at the shore of a great lake. This is your lake. It is yours to do whatever you want with it. It is a symbol of all the abundance that is yours. If you look across the lake, it is so wide that you cannot see the other side. Look to the right, and now to the left. And all you see is shoreline. You cannot see the boundary of your abundance. And everything in this lake is there for you. Draw water from it to drink, to wash clothes, to water plants. You can fish in it to find food. You can play in it. You can relax on it. It is yours. It is a symbol of all that is yours. Now feel yourself slowly rising up into the air, looking down at your lake. You're at 10,000 feet. You still can't see the whole boundaries. You're at 20,000 feet. Still, you cannot see the edges. 30,000 feet. Maybe you can see it. Feel yourself rising until you can see the boundaries of your lake, of your abundance. Notice the deep blue color in the middle. The depth of what is there for you to draw from. This is your lake. If you look to the bottom of the lake, you'll see that there's a river that flows out. And it's not that your abundance is draining, but it is the flow of life. For if we block off the lake, that in it will die. You see the river that flows out. And now look up to the top of the lake. You'll see that there's even a wider, deeper river that flows into your lake, feeding your abundance. And if you follow the river, see it's not a long river, and it connects to a sea so vast that you can't see the edges of it, even from where you're at. Even if you went 100 times higher than you are now, you would never see the edges of the supply that is continually flowing into your lake of abundance. This is all here to support you, to provide you with everything that you need. is yours to do with whatever you choose to use in any way which supports you and your life. Now slowly let yourself float back down to the ground. Until you're once again standing at the edge of the lake. Just take in the view of all that is there for you. And now feel yourself sitting back down in your chair. Coming back into this space and this time. And this word is spoken for each one who's hearing this message. There is a great creator from which all things are created. It is the source. It is the spiritual substance from which all is created. Each one is a manifestation of that spirit. And each one is supplied by that spirit. And everything that each one needs is already created, is already available. For life is created in a way that it can renew and replenish and evolve into the next greater version of itself. And each one here is a part of that life. Each one knows that they have unlimited supply. They're connected with the divine, with the Creator, with the spiritual substance, which is all that there is and is so great it is beyond imagination. So each one takes everything that they need. They are open to it. They are willing to accept it. And they are divinely guided to use it in a way that increases their life, increases their good, and increasing their good, they increase the good for the world, for everyone, everywhere. We are grateful for the supply. And knowing this, I gratefully release this word to the law. So it is.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for, what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about heart open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about making a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I'm learning to keep it inside. It's coming in loud and clear. I want a much deeper life. It's got love, it's got laughter, it's got comfort and smiles. It's got love, it's got kindness, it's got hearts open wide. It's got love, it's got passion, it's got taking the chance. It's got love, it's got service, it's got lending Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Daniel Nemod.
Wow. Daniel Nemod, Nahmod.
Right.
Look him up. He's good.
Daniel the man.
Yes. He's filled with all these wonderful, he's got a voice like Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And then he sings all these great spiritual songs and stuff. So, hello, I see people. I'll move. So you got some new people coming. Okay, so this is our third week that we are looking at prosperity again. We do that at least once, maybe twice a year, because because I need it. And I'm using a new book that well, it's not a new book, it's a very old book, published in 1938, I believe. Yep. Called Wells of Abundance by E.V. Ingraham. And he gives us 7 modes through which we receive our supply, we receive our good, and then has a chapter looking at each of these modes, and then gives us some advice on how we can express or open up to that avenue of supply in a more spiritual way, more intelligent way, more conscious way. So we've been practicing with the first 2. If you're like me, you probably forgot all about it. Although I will admit, every time I go out and drive in the country, which where I live is like a mile away, I drive along the canal a lot, and I see the leaves changing and the sun coming through, I begin practicing our first, what he calls the law of absorption. So the law of absorption is recognizing that everything that is created absorbs what is in its environment. And as human beings, we do too, but we need to be aware of it. And we also need to realize that that's not our only level of receiving good, but it's an important level because we're surrounded by our environment. And we're just absorbing what it is, whether you like it or not. When you're sleeping, you're absorbing what's in your room. When, you're just sitting around in a cafe, you're absorbing whatever's going around. It's unconscious, and it's what plants do. And so we recognize that that's a part of us, but we aren't a plant. And so what we do is think about what we want to unconsciously absorb and create an environment that reflects that. Now I got a lot of work to do because as I look at my home, there's nothing in my home I want to absorb unconsciously. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't see it that way yet. There are some moments of beauty in it, but what I seem to absorb in my home is a whole lot of sense of what I need to do. Fine. But when I go out in nature, I want to absorb that. The bounty, the abundance, the beauty, the freshness. Okay, so on rainy days, I don't want to absorb that, and I don't get reminded. But absorbing the beauty, the abundance that is in nature, when I do it consciously, I just soak it all up. On Saturday morning, I went and I like to run a long run, 52 minutes in a park. And as I run, instead of thinking about, how I feel, which you don't want to think about that, I think about, the beauty and the breeze and the beautiful people that I'm passing, and most of them smile because they're walking and I'm running and they're passing me. But it's just beautiful. There's always something to see as I'm very peacefully, easily moving through the sunshine, through the air, through the nature, absorbing it, enjoying it fully. And what we want to do is claim our identity with that. I am this abundance. I am this beauty. I loved Mary's meditation. That lake is mine. That lake is an ocean that's filled with clear water so I can drink it. You know, I understood why she picked lake. I'm like, why not pick the ocean? I'm like, oh, because you don't want to drink that salt water. But when I was like looking at that lake, I'm like, everything is in there. And I thought about those books written by Jean Auel, A-U-E-L, The Clan of the Cave Bear and all those. And, you know, that young woman, when she was, you know, cast out of the clan, was on her own. And everything that she needed was right there. And what she had to use was the intelligence she was given to mold things. I thought, as I was looking at my lake, which was really an ocean filled with pure water, I thought, I can knit clothes out of the seaweed. It's all provided. And so our second law was the law, he called it the law of force. I'm renaming it the law of affirming. That we need to claim it. That with these 7 different modes or laws that he's describing, what we need to realize is we need to be operating through all of them intelligently, and then also at that spiritual level. And so our homework for the past week with the 2 different laws was to go out and absorb an environment of abundance, and then affirm that you are one with it, and that God is your supply, or all is supplied. And that affirmative prayer, that spiritual mind treatment that I did at the very beginning of our session here, was to realize that even industry, even commercialism, even advertising, even money, government and banking, whatever, it's all first cause created by the divine, using humanity, using our level of awareness, whatever, but it's the divine intention was to bring us our supply. And so it all comes from God. Okay, so that was our homework. Whether you did it or not, I don't know. I know how much I did it. And if you did any more than I did, good for you. And if you totally forgot about it, that's okay. You're here again to be reminded, right? So our third plane of supply is called the law of work. So the law of force or of affirming is at the level of animal. Animals get what they want by taking it from another animal, or, you know, taking the animal, right? So in humans, we elevate it by using assertion, affirming at that spiritual level. God is the supply. Now, the same thing is true of the law of work, that area of work. We need to get clear. And the best person that brought this clarity to me was Eric Butterworth in his book, Spiritual Economics. I read it every few years because Eric Butterworth makes it crystal clear that work has nothing to do with your money. And if you work for money, you're going to be all snarled up inside. And so Ingraham repeats this. He says in this supply, by earning it through work, this is where humans should logically expect their supply. But to work only for what you can get, like money or benefits or your retirement pay, whatever, is but little better than the thief. Until you reach the place where there is a free giving in your own heart for what you are receiving, you are never on a secure footing. And I've been there, right? Work for a living. I got to work in order to get money. And when I began my spiritual journey, I was working in a job I hated because I was afraid of not having enough money. And my experience of living was total hell. I hated my job. I hated everyone involved with it. They were making me, and I was giving what they deserved. And lots of resentment was in me. Whew. It was an awful way to be. And we can fall back into that. And so what we want to realize is that it's appropriate that we receive money for what we are giving, but we must be aware that there is a law of balance at work, so that we are receiving what we are giving. And if what we are giving is, I'm going to give as little as so that I can get as much. If that's your law of compensation, if that's what's operating in you, then that's very little. You're going to get very, very little. And not only that, you're going to be miserable. I know that for my own experience. And so what we want to do is start step one, if that's where you're at, no blame, no shame. To advance, you must get ahead of the law of balance and begin to give more than you receive. So you begin giving more than they deserve, more than what your job description is, more than what they pay you for. And what this is doing is freeing you to and really changing you so that you're starting to think, what can I give? And not, what do I have to give in order to get? And having done that myself, yes, you begin being more interested in using work as a way to give what you are. And he says, as we advance, right? When working men and women realize that work is for the purpose of expressing and developing skill, there will be no drudgery in their labors. And that's what you stumble upon. Work is for your self-expression. And work is the best avenue that there is for experiencing growth. And so when you start to give more than they ask of you, you're starting to grow, first of all, in your attitude. But then when you're realizing that wherever you are is for you to give your best and more, what you begin to experience is, if you have way more to give than your particular role is offering you, you outgrow the job and you get lifted up out of it and placed in another one where you have challenge and you can give more again. And once I began practicing this, and I did, I watched myself be lifted up out of a job in various ways. A lot of times it was called firing. Being lifted up out of job, but then placed in a place where I could give more of myself and where I could learn and grow. And so it wasn't about the money, although the money came. And there was always enough because God is the source of my supply. The growth. And the growth is this. Right? Spiritually, I am that I am. None of us have anywhere near explored what I am is. Our talents, our abilities, our skills that we have known so far, nowhere near what is available to us, what we can give. But we have to grow where we are. And so for me, the beginning, I was, I was in this teaching for a while, hated my job, right? And my first step at the time was to quit and go be an actress. That was the plan. But I couldn't quit because I needed the money for security. And for at least a year, I was teetering with this. I knew I was guided by the divine to quit, but I don't have enough money. And I finally was guided to ask myself, how much money do I need to have in the bank to feel secure? And I realized I can't name the amount. I'll always need more. And when I heard that, I quit. And as I explained to the VPs and the EVPs why I quit, I was an officer at the bank at the time, as I explained why I was resigning, because they were saying, do you realize what you're losing? You know, as I was on the fast track to, you know, more hell. And they're like, you know, why are you doing this? Do you realize what you're missing? And then when I told them that every day I'm here, I lose a year of my life. The vice president who I reported to said, I've always wanted to own a boat and go fishing. But my family, my children, they're used to their lifestyle, blah, 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 so I have to work. And I went, oh. Every one of them started explaining to me why they couldn't quit and go do what they wanted to do. I was like, what the heck? So I quit. I became an actress. I spent every penny that I had in my bank account. And I proved to myself that God is the source of my supply. And I was happy to spend it all. And I did. And then one day I thought, well, we better get a little bit, better get that other part of the lake opened up, a little bit of flow here. We need to do something. And I got the idea, well, actors are word processors. I need to learn how to word process. And an acting friend of mine said, I'm going to Montana to direct a play. Do you want my job? I'm a word processor. I'm like, sure. He's like, okay, show up on Monday. Here's the address. I'm like, okay. Gets jobs like that. I showed up. I'm like, Danny said, show up here. He's like, good. Here's your desk. So-and-so will teach you, whatever. So I was growing, learning how to word process. And then out of there, that job ended, and I learned how to use WordPerfect. And then that job ended, and I worked with a law firm. And then, as I was outgrowing my expertise and growth there, I actually, by working for a lawyer who didn't like to do his job, I actually learned the job of how to negotiate a lease. And I became a lease negotiator. From that job, from being a secretary, I became a lease negotiator. I hated conflict. I learned the job because my boss didn't want to do it. So he would go to the gym for 3 hours every afternoon, and I would do his work. The divine, and from there I came here because I was studying the whole time in this teaching and realizing that work is for us to discover our gifts, our talents, to do things that we don't know how to do, and to do them lousy until we can do them with mediocrity, and then do them pretty good, and then do them so well that you don't have to think about it, and you outgrow it, and you're ready to learn something else. That's what work is for. Did you know that? That work is for you? Don't retire. And by that, I don't mean don't quit your job and get the retirement money. What I mean is, if you are leaving any position, it always must be for health, spiritual health, right? It always must be for you to express more of the I am that you are in a unique and new way. To express it in a greater way. We are, in a sense, to the world, we are that lake. And the divine is flowing its talents and abilities through us, and we gotta let it out. And so when people close off that river of letting it out, right, the lake goes stale. And so do we, right? We lose our minds, we lose our bodies, we look ugly and old and wrinkled. We're not supposed to that's not supposed to happen. We do it to ourselves because we are meant to express continuously more of ourselves. More this, more that. That's why they've done so many researches, right? And studies that, older people who start learning a new skill, their brains start functioning again. Well, duh. The brain is there to be used. If you're not using it, it's going to atrophy like everything else. So you don't lose, right? You don't use it, you lose it. So Ingraham says this too. He says that when one realizes the entire motive of work is the development and expression of skill, then the individual has reached the turning point in the matter of supply. Work loses its strenuousness and becomes a fascinating pursuit. He or she discovers the same degree of joy and eagerness with which they go forward, and in this motive, the good is returned, that comes back to them. Once this process is clearly experienced, one becomes as fascinated with their work as in the most intriguing game. Are you that fascinated with your work? When I became a lease negotiator with a corporation, all my acting theater friends were like, "Are you crazy? You're going back into that corporate world, 9 to 5." And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm guided to do it. Where was the growth? For me, it was unfinished business. I had to grow in practicing love. Because when I was with the bank, I hated the 9 to 5, I hated the corporation, I hated all that structure. I was like, I just want to be free, I just want to be free. And something in me said, go back into it. And I'm like, okay, but if I go back into it, this time I'm going into it, I'm going to learn how to love it. And emotionally, I can't say I ever loved it. It was boring. It was exhausting. It was draining. But I pretended and practiced loving it. When you love, as I've done many a wedding ceremony, love is not the emotion, or it's not just the emotion, right? Love is acting with love. And acting with love is to always see the best in your beloved, whether they're acting that way or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you feel it or not, to still see the best in them. It's a choice. It's a mental choice. And so I remember working in that company and whatever. And then I would do a prayer for the company. And I would do a prayer for myself. I would do a different prayer for the company. The prayer for the company was that this company is thriving. It is an expression of the divine. It is the divine circulating its good throughout the world. And each and every one of its employees is blessed and is giving their best and is giving their good. And any belief that anyone is bored or doesn't want to be here is erased, evaporated, and vanished. Each and every employee loves this job, loves this work, loves being here, and loves giving their best. I release it, it's done, and so it is. Well, I knew I was talking about me. But it needed to be done. That's what love does. And then as I treated for myself, I love my life completely. I love my life completely. And so I love this place and I love these people. And every once in a while, I'd hear a rumor and an invitation to think badly of the company or badly of the boss or badly of something. And I'm like, no, however intriguing and fascinating that particular rumor sounds, and as much as I have to contribute to it, is that love? No, I'm here to think the best of this person, even though I know what they're really doing. No, shut up, Karen. Let's think the best of this person. And so I did. I choose to think the best of this particular person, and that they would never do anything out of integrity. Only good reigns here. And even though I might not see it, even though I might not even believe it, it doesn't matter. That's the truth. I stand on it. It's done. So it is. So when we are growing in giving of ourselves, we want to accept that we might not feel like it. It might not be really where we're at. Because when we begin giving our best, we usually start in some place where we hate. And we don't, and it's not using our best talents and abilities, but honey, you're not making the best out of the little that you're being asked to give. You're not ready to give the big stuff. If you can't love this job where you're collating paper, if you can't give your love to that and bless it and do it your very best, how can the divine trust you with a greater responsibility? Actions tell the tale. And so that's how we grow. We start where we're at, and we give it our best thoughts, our best intention, and our best ability. And we know that at some point we will have given all that we've got to give to it. And at that point we will be lifted up and placed into a situation where we can give more of ourselves. And that little clue, I love my life completely, will continue to lift you up until you're always given an opportunity to express more and more love. And then eventually, after that little, from the banker to the actress with no money coming in, to the word processor and the lease negotiator, I came here. No one could have imagined I would end up here. And I'm the last to believe it. And yet, it keeps using my highest talents and abilities. And freedom. I love my life completely, and I don't have to even pretend to love this expression. It's there. And I'll be here until I outgrow it, which, I can't see that happening. But who knows? I have to. It's a law. So the law of work is to give your best, right? To give your best, to grow as much as you can, to use what you've got. If all you've got is the seaweed, you knit a little bathing suit. Right? I mean, this is, I know Susan's here. She's going to knit seaweed. We can see it coming out. And sell it at the next craft fair, right? Okay, good. So,
She might need some kelp.
like some kelp, right? A bit of kelp.
Oh, my need some kelp.
Oh, okay. So someone asked, where do you get the needles? I already thought about that, Margie. Do you realize you can knit with your arms as the needles? And see, the seaweed is so large, it could work. Okay, there they go. Somebody go ahead, make $1 million. It's okay. And you can eat it when you're done with it. All right. Once abundance is attained, right? There is a greater need of inward ability than before, because both yourself and your money must be sustained. So even after you've got this mastered, there's another whole level. I think of it as philanthropy, living a life of a philanthropist, who is really the John Rockefeller believed that he was given so much money because God was guiding him in how to distribute it in the world. He thought that was his talent. And he tithed, he kept his records exact, and he had a clergy person available to advise him in how to distribute this money in the wisest way for the greatest good of all. He had a consciousness of philanthropy. But see, when we realize that we are one with the divine and that everything is coming from the divine for us to be expressing and giving, that we become the divine philanthropist. But we can't, we got to start where we're at. Don't go, all right, now I'm giving all my money away when, you can't pay your bill. No. Love your bills. Pay your bills. Pay that PSE&G bill that came out of nowhere with an earlier due date than last month. Okay, so the world of work. Physical work is only a means of outward expression. It builds muscle, but not character. It is, and then we've got the working of the mind back of the muscle that builds the skill. And then the attitude in work makes character. So we want to build our physical expression, strengthen ourselves. We want to build that skill set that we have. And then we also want to build the attitude or the consciousness. And so that brings us to spiritual work. And we had the wonderful meditation by Mary. That's the spiritual work we need to do. Identify with the abundance of life and then claim it and use it for ourselves. He says the kind of inner work that builds up the highest and most vital motives should be the first consideration. We so often make the mistake of tackling the outer aspect of a problem before we have mastered its inner aspect. In supply, we should first work to master the sense of lack by building an inner sense of wealth. So I have a lot to say about that unconscious sense of lack, but it's time to move on. But our spiritual homework is this now, is to get into that environment, which that meditation allowed us to create that environment in our mind, to get into that environment, connect with that abundance, to feel it, identify with it, and then to affirm it's in our lives, to affirm that river flowing out of us, to affirm that the river is of greater good is flowing in, to affirm it's true in our bill paying, in our lives, in our world. And then our third activity, which we'll focus on this week, is how we are expressing ourselves. And the question is, am I giving my best? Am I giving my best? And the good thing here, just to make, so false perfectionists, I know where you're going, don't go there. That's not love. You give the best given what you've got at the moment. And maybe it's a bad mood. Giving your best might be to just shut up. For me, that frequently is the case. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Okay, but if you're there to do something, and even if you believe it's impossible and you hate it, you can say, I affirm that this is good. So again, it's our intention. We can always set an intention that is higher than where we might be at. And we don't beat ourselves up because we're not at the great thing yet. That's not love. And we're here to grow in love too. So you accept yourself the way you are. Okay. Today I'm a mean and nasty soul. Beware everyone who walks in my path. So divine wisdom, what shall I do? Okay. Don't make eye contact. And shut up. You might be blessing the world that way. It's the right. And then, as soon as you really accept yourself at that level, you find you're very infrequently at that level. Because I am that I am always wants to express. And that includes joy and love and peace and harmony and success and abundance and wealth and health and vitality and connection and anything else you want. That's it. All right, having said that, let's contemplate it for a bit as Reverend Rich leads us in another song.
You said I am so many times that I have to do the song.
All right.
My body, my soul, are part of the perfect whole. My heart and my hands are serving a sacred plan. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. My thoughts and my mind belong to eternal time. My words and my song, you're writing them all alone. I know that it's true when all that I am comes down to you. I know that it's true. I know that I can rely on you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you. All that I am, all that I am, all that I am, God, I give to you.
And so in closing, I want to read this meditation, or it's a spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer by Ingrid Hen here. So, these words I speak in the I am, claim that I am to be your own. Almighty God, source of all creation, flood me with thy light and life. Pour out your whole spirit and substance upon me, and supply me richly with all the fullness of your bounty. Let thy exhaustless wealth enrich my spirit, endow my soul, and fill my mind with the riches of the kingdom. In gratitude, I receive the blessing of the Holy Spirit. In the depths of my being, I meditate and ponder the great wealth that I daily and hourly receive from thy rich storehouse. Thy substance fills my whole being, and I am richly blessed with every good and perfect gift coming from the light itself. All the wealth of the universe is mine. The riches of heaven and earth flow to me, and I am made rich within and without. And so it is.
That's it?
It's ready for you.
Just waiting for some final words. Well, this is the last word, right? I said, Amen. 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 Amen.
And that's the way it is. All right, people at home, I see that Regina, is that you, Regina? Yes, she has posted a YouTube video of Wells of Abundance, 7 Planes of Supply. So it's the unabridged audiobook is posted on our Facebook page. So you can listen to somebody reading that. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Regina. Oh, she gives so much. She's such a blessing. All right. So hello, welcome. We've said hello. Oh, Margit was here. And okay, all right. Arlene, good morning. Catherine, Regina, Eileen Bierney, hello. such good comes from this. Thank you for whatever time you could spend with us, Eileen. That's terrific. And Regina's there, and that is it. So we're ready to say goodbye. Goodbye. All right, have a abundantly wealthy week. Okay.